Why do we play RPGs? I asked myself this question fairly recently. After playing Wuthering Waves for a bit, I took a step back to think about why I like that game more than my time with Genshin Impact. Both are RPGs and both are gachas too. I started reflecting on that question and I wanted to make a video on this topic because it's something I'm generally curious about and I hope you are too. So, let's hunt some game, throw some stuff into a pot, and stand awkwardly listening to me like an NPC in an RPG. RPGs, or role-playing games, are at their core a genre of games in which you embody and control a character in a fictional world. RPGs tend to include a story and usually revolve entirely around the main character/player, whose decisions impact the people and the world around them. There are many ingredients that can be added to an RPG that give it flavor and can transform it into something more unique than a generic dish or terminology. Take an MMORPG, for example. An MMO is massively multiplayer online, meaning it's an online-only game that allows potentially hundreds or more players to play with you at any given time. In my opinion, RPGs stand near the top as one of the most played genres in gaming. I mean, some of the most popular games to ever come out are RPGs. We got Skyrim, Cyberpunk 2077, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Elden Ring, to name a handful. In each game, you can immerse yourself into the shoes of either a predetermined character or a character you, the player, create. You are then thrust into the story and the world, and are essentially playing through the life of that character. When we play RPGs, we tend to get lost in the game and its world. This feeling can be felt when reading a good book or watching an engaging movie or show. You are locked in and can see yourself there with that character as a bystander. But in video games, you are that character. You are the one who walks around the world. You are the one uncovering mysteries, and you are the one meeting people. This is primarily why I love video games more than any other medium, because it's an interactive experience. Watching someone fight is way different than sitting there actively controlling each punch and block. Granted, both forms of media involve spectating, involve sight, but games are a cause and effect, an input and output, action and reaction. I talked about ingredients before. I thought it'd be a nice little analogy, but I wanted to know why some people like or prefer RPGs over other genres of games. Now, this isn't to say only RPGs can have these ingredients, but I am saying that RPGs give the template or base that truly changes the outcome of that dish. And so I went to Reddit, I went to r/RPG gamers to ask people why they play RPGs. Personally, I have many reasons, from narrative/story, to action, to player agency, or even something universally grand, like immersion and escapism. It was really cool to read the thoughts of others and to add them to this. I want to start with this Reddit user's lengthy response, which they summed up as, "Don't know, man. It's all just vibes. I play games that look cool, and sometimes they stick, and sometimes they don't. I generally couldn't explain it in a coherent way." By itself, this quote hides the previous statements in which they really talk about how they define their love for a genre because of an element of a certain game. I used to say because of the combat, because Witcher 3 was the first RPG I played that the combat really clicked for me. And then I realized that there are action games with much better combat. One of the lines I responded with was, "Favorite elements of a game I don't think is what defines why we love RPGs, but it provides us with a nice template of things to look for, the comfortable. It is nice to stretch out and try a narrative-focused RPG instead of maybe a usual action and exploration. Because in the uncomfortable or new comes a new door to open that may lead to a dead end or another room to explore. Meaning, at the end of the day, it's not super important or a must to drill down and stick to a specific thing. We find purpose and meaning to why we want to play something. RPGs, I believe, lend themselves to be a playground to add different ingredients, but with that main ingredient being immersion, where you get to engage in the story. Which is exactly what another Reddit user was talking about. They said, quote, "It's like being able to interactively control a mini-series. I'm not a huge fan of passively watching TV, but an RPG is like a TV show that plays out according to how you feel like it should. You can explore the world rather than someone telling you what the world is." Unquote. I'll wrap up this segment by talking about player agency or player choice. Many gamers who responded included agency as one of their ideal ingredients in an RPG. One said, quote, "As the years have gone on, games have thankfully gotten bigger and more beautiful and allow the player to do so many things than before. But being able to have control over what I do and where I go next, and being able to succeed because of patience, persistence, and paying attention is the top of my list. Can't beat this enemy? No worries. I'll go level up for a few hours and I'll also buy better weapons and armor, and then I'll come back and kick its ass. That's what RPGs are to me." End quote. Having the choice and freedom to tackle a situation how you want or on your own terms feel great for many. Some may prefer a more linear game where everything is set in place for you. Some don't want that. It is up to us to determine which of these ingredients we like and how much we want. And would you believe me if I said I did some research for this video? Besides Reddit, I looked at blogs and .org websites. Fancy. One blog was by this gentleman who wrote about why we play video games and referenced another article that gathered years of data through in-house studies of game development studios. They came back with 3 psychological needs or ingredients. First one, competency. Second one, autonomy. Third one, relatedness. Competency is the feeling of growth and progression, that you are achieving something. Autonomy is the feeling of independence. We want the ability to do something because we decided to, not because we are forced to do as their only path. And lastly, relatedness. This comes to the feeling of connection, feeling that what we do matters, or that as the character we matter indirectly. That feeling of being immersed as part of the world and its people is easier to obtain when we relate and play with other people. All of these ingredients and all others are great, but quote, "The danger is that we might neglect our basic psychological needs in real life. Instead of trying to gain competency, autonomy, and relatedness in our own life, we may gain what we need from the game. This is when gaming becomes escapism, when it is used to avoid life." End quote. In one of my older videos on why you should play Stardew Valley, I talked about how in a world with so much evil and violence, some people deal with it with video games. This was where I was hinting at escapism. This term deserves its own little moment because of how impactful it is on our psyches. Escapism is the attempt to set aside negative thoughts or feelings by pursuing a diversion from reality. This often takes the form of fantasy, where one imagines or dreams of a different world. Sounds like video games, right? We yearn and sometimes want an escape from our lives. For whatever reason, escaping is because you don't want to think about what's happening right now. So you escape into a different world. For some, it's not games, it's movies, it's shows, books, and drinking, to name a few examples. But escapism isn't necessarily evil or wrong, but it shouldn't be used as a permanent solution. In fact, I had a cool conversation with a Redditor who gave an analogy to what I was saying about addressing these root issues. They said, it's essentially chopping at the snake's body while ignoring the head. I then discovered that even a severed snake's head can still bite. So, if say work has been treating you poorly, bad boss, mismanagement, unfair hours, when possible, you must leave. Don't just go to games for that temporary solution. The head/root cause is still there to attack. Now, life is complicated and not everyone could just say, yeah, I'll quit and I'll find some new job. Easy. Me especially, because in the current gaming industry, job security is more important now than if you like it because of all the turnover. But if you are fortunate to be able to make that decision, do it. At the end of the day, RPGs remain my favorite genre of gaming. And it's why I mostly focus on that for my YouTube content. There are many genres out there that heavily focus on one ingredient, and they are played by many. But I'm just a chill guy talking about what I like. I hope you learned something from this video and or walked away with a curiosity to begin your own reflection. If you enjoyed watching and listening to this video, please hit that subscribe and like button, share it with a fellow RPG fan, and comment below your reasons why you play RPGs. Thank you to everyone that posted in the Reddit thread. Y'all are amazing. And let me know if this type of video vibes with you, and let me know what topics you want to hear about. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you in the comments.